Welcome back. I am struggling today, but as all of you know, I haven't posted in about a year or so, and I'm very sorry about that. A lot of things have happened. And I posted a comment on my community tab saying I wanted to revamp the channel. I'm not going to change very much. I just don't read as much fan fiction as I used to. I'm very sad about that, sadly. But one of my dear friends, she couldn't join me today, sadly, but she is an editor of mine for the channel now. And a few of my other friends, a few great friends, are also helping me. So if you see random videos here and there, they are also a part of the channel. They are going to help me trying to revive it, hopefully. And it is also going to be a gaming channel, but also fan fiction. I don't even know what's going on in it, but we're gonna try to do it. What I want to try to do is basically, I guess, just kind of not not really play like more of like the fan fiction games, like the the hentai, FNAF, the Siren Head, dating sim, whatever you want to call it. I guess just kind of like simple little things of those. But back to the story at hand. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It is called Golden Hearts. It is a Golden Freddy, of course, because cannot seem to get away from Five Nights at Freddy's. It is 30 pages long, but that is okay. We will have many parts to this because I know my voice will not be able to handle a 3-hour trip of reading. Oh, and here's the author right here. I do not know how to pronounce it, and yes, we are just not gonna butcher it. Let's go back to the first page. Okay, is everyone ready to have fun? Oh, I promise. Okay. This is Golden Hearts Prologue. Beep, 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 beep. Turn that damn thing off now. A sleepy voice grumbled darkly. The shivering girl beside the mill jolted awake, partly from the cold and partly from the alarm. The voice is what sprung her into action. She quickly moved and turned the alarm on her phone off. Gulping, she glanced back at the sleeping form of Marcus. Marcus was her boyfriend of 4 years. The two had only been living together for 3. And those 3 years had been pure hell for the young woman with the beautiful hair color. Marcus had seemed to quickly fall back to sleep, much to her relief, rubbing the rest of the sleep out of her eyes. She got up. She was more than thankful that she would be able to get ready for work in peace. She looked at her phone and was glad she had plenty of time to start her routine. Her first would be to shower. Grabbing her clothes and making her way to the bathroom, she shut and locked the door. Turning on the hot water, she adjusted it to the perfect temperature as she quickly got undressed. Getting into the shower, she let the hot water rush over her, releasing the tense muscle and easing the aching. Eyes wandered to the bruises that littered her body. Many were at different stages of healing, while others were fresh. Her mind immediately wandered to Marcus, to him, and how happy they used to be. The loving dates, the heated kisses, and the happy laughs and smiles. He had never said any harsh words to her. Never would she have imagined him putting his hands on her in any other way than loving. Snapping out of her thoughts, she jumped out of the shower. She wasn't feeling very hungry, but she forced herself to eat a small breakfast. Toast and some coffee. Maybe it would ease the unsettling feeling she had. Maybe it wouldn't. Glancing at the time, she grabbed her keys. Quickly and quietly, she left the house. She was ready to get away, escape the hell, though even if she were to leave and never return, she would be stuck in the permanent scars and the shattered self-esteem. Getting into her car, she started it and began her drive. Her new job was her much-needed escape. It offered time away from him, most of her time actually. Marcus worked during the day, and she would work during the night. She would only have to deal with him for a very short amount of time. Pulling into the parking lot, she hair put your hair color into a ponytail. She put on her cap, standard to the uniform she now wore. Turning off her car and stepping out, she took a breath of fresh air. Then she glanced at the sign that scared away many, but brought a smile on her face. A safe haven. Something she so desperately craved. This is what drew her to this job, or at least she thought so. Snapping out of her almost straying thoughts, she grinned as she read the sign again. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. She then walked in, unaware of the utterly terrifying nightmare she would face. Ugh, okay. Oh, I didn't bring any water with me. Chapter 1. Welcome to Hell. I feel like that every time I enter work. As the girl entered the building, being sure of her security badge was fastened correctly, she took a look around. The entry was full of children's drawings. She would admit they looked kind of creepy in the dim light. Quickly locking the door, she decided the sooner she was in the office, the better. She continued on her way and entered the pottery. Okay. She continued on her way and entered the party room. To say it was small would be a lie. Tables lined the floor, and she smiled. She could almost imagine the screaming kids, the drunken dads laughing with the belly of beer and pizza, and the exhausted moms making sure their child's time there was going to be perfect. Laughing softly to make herself, she spotted the animatronics. She gulped. Their heads were slightly down. She almost felt like they were watching her. She quickly shook the thought out of her mind, reminding herself they were probably powered down. Oh, excuse me. However, she got closer on the stage. She almost gagged. It smelled like death. A smell your name was only slightly familiar with. She covered her nose and threw one more glance at them. The smell and the sight of the animatronics made her heart began to race in her chest. As she was passing by the last table, her eye caught something. She laughed softly. "What do we have here?" she hummed as she picked up the small plush. It was a cupcake. One that matched Chica's. She glanced at Chica and her cupcake and smiled. Let's call you Carlton. Carlton Von Cupcake. Or Carl for short, she said as she continued on her way to the office. With the cupcake, she didn't feel so alone or creeped out. As she sat in her chair, she glanced at the time. 11:58. 2 minutes to spare. She had recalled the owner informing her to be early. Not on time, not late, but early. She didn't know why, but she trusted him. After all, she wouldn't want to tick off her new boss. She needed this to get away from Marcus. Just as her thoughts drifted off, a bell chimed. She blinked. Are we in school again? She thought. She shook her head at the thought. Before she could do anything, the phone rang, nearly startling the poor girl. She picked it up. "Hello?" she asked. The voice on the other end was so loud she had to hold the phone from her ear. "Hello, hello? I wanted to record the message for you to help you get settled in on your first night. I actually worked in the office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact. So I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. Um, you'll do fine, so let's just get focusing getting you through your first week, okay?" The man on the phone spoke, and she smiled. How nice and thoughtful. Though I do not see how this could be overwhelming, she giggled as she continued to listen. Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of like a legal thing, you know. Um, welcome to Fatty. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fred Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filled within 90 days or as soon property and premises has been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced. Her blood ran cold at that. Death? Why would anyone die here? She thought as her heart began to pound and her thoughts went to the smell she smelt just a few minutes prior, and her heart slammed hard in her chest. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that might sound bad, I know, but there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd be a bit irritated at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in our hearts of the children. We need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. She blinked. Quirky, but they're powered down, she thought as she gripped Carl a little tighter. So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they're turned off for too long. She cried out in surprise. They roam around? She practically screamed, standing up, the chair flying behind her. Her breath began to pick up, and she tried to will her calm down. And she tried to get her heart to calm down. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe there's nothing to worry about. They used to be allowed to walk out during the day, too, but there was the bite of 87, yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without a frontal lobe, you know? That was it. The guy had to be yanking her chain. Now concerning your safety, the only real risk you have as a night watchman here is if any is the fact that these characters they happen to see you after hours, they probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll probably most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, since that is against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Now that won't be so bad if the suit themselves weren't filled with crossbeams, wire, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcefully pressed inside one of those things could cause a bit of discomfort and death. Hey, Zimmy, stop. The only parts of you that would most likely see the light of day again would probably be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out in front of your mask. If anyone had been around to see the girl, it might have been worried. Her usual face had paled considerably, and she nearly wanted to cry. This guy was actually being serious? Impossible. She wouldn't believe him. She slowly pulled the chair back towards her and sat down. Yeah, they didn't tell you all these things when you signed up. But hey, first day should be a breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the door only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night. The call ended and she took a deep breath. This was all a joke, she laughed nervously and she picked up the tablet. She powered it on and flipped the camera to show her stage. Her laugh, her nervous laugh caught in her throat as she immediately noticed that the big, cute, and purple bunny was gone. No, damn it, Bunny! No, no, no! She cried out in horror. Go back! Go back! She was nearly hyperventilating as she flipped through the cameras. Finally, she located him in the stage room. The breath she had, not realizing she had been holding as she stared in terror at the bunny, who was too close to the camera, released. She wanted to cry as she stared at the image, but at least he wasn't near her yet. She let out a whimper as she cuddled Carl closer. This was supposed to be my escape from Marcus, she whispered. But I've exchanged one hell for another. Ugh. Let's do one more, I guess, and then I think that'll be it. Okay. Chapter 2. Welcome home. The night was going fairly smoothly. So far, only Bunny had left the stage. It was nearing 3 a.m., and he had yet to approach the office. Honestly, she was grateful for that. She had begun to relax and think that perhaps the call she had gotten at the beginning of the shift was a prank. She checked her power, 72%. I'll easily make it through my shift, she hummed happily. However, her blood ran cold when she heard heavy footsteps. Quickly, she pressed the light button by her door, and there he was, the giant purple bunny in all his glory. The stench of death filled her nostrils, and she screamed right as he went to move to come into the office. Thankfully, she managed to press the door button in her fright. No, Bonnie, please go away, she whimpered as she glanced at the power. It was draining and fast. Everything clicked. If she ran out of power, she would be left defenseless, left to die. She recalled the very disturbing image she had gotten in her head from the earlier phone call, and she shuddered. Clicking the light, she breathed out in relief that Bonnie had left. Opening the door, she quickly checked the cameras. He was back in the dining area of the party room, which meant he was far away. She leaned back in her chair, knowing she couldn't relax for much longer. Bonnie had only visited her 2 more times that night. He was the only one, too, as Chica and Freddy hadn't moved an inch. A thought then entered her brain. Could Foxy move too? She knew that the old fox had been out of commission for a long time. Faulty wiring or something like that. Surely that meant he was off. When 6 a.m. bell rang, she relaxed fully. She would be 4 more hours before opening. So she made no rush to leave. An hour passed before she stood up, and with a sigh, she set Carl on the desk. See you later, she said as she gathered her things. The place looked much less scary now in the full light, and she felt comfortable again. As she made her way into the party room, She noticed the sun began to shine brightly. The rays bathed her in their light, and she could feel the slight warmth even through the windows. This made her newer bruises glisten almost as she sighed. She really needed to hide them at work. She looked around, still procrastinating and leaving, and unbeknownst to her, that was taking notes of. Looking at the floor, she finally forced herself to look at the animatronics. They were lively and actually following her movement. They didn't seem so scary now, and she realized that their killer instincts weren't their fault. And they more than likely didn't know they were killing someone. With a sad, fearful smile, she waved at them. However, it wasn't because of them. It was what was surely waiting for her at home. The drive was definitely too quick. She had decided as she pulled into her driveway. She turned off her engine inside, knowing he probably knew she was home. She didn't waste time in making her way inside. When she entered, she was thankful he was getting ready to leave for work. The brunette looked up at the sound of her closing the door. He smirked, but his green eyes glistened with anger. "Welcome home, sweetie." "You're late," he spat, his words laced in venom. The smaller girl began to tremble, her eyes quickly looking at the floor. She made herself appear smaller, as to hopefully not anger him any more. "Yeah, I'm so sorry," she said softly, looking up to meet his eyes before looking down. She prayed to God that he would go easy on her, but that, perhaps, he would just scold her with harsh words. But she knew she was wrong. When he approached her, her eyes snapped up in fear as he reached for her. Grabbing her by the throat, he slammed her against a nearby wall so hard it knocked her hat off. He clenched her throat so hard she was sure her windpipe was going to be crushed. She began uh, crawling, clawing desperately at his arm. A big tear welled in her eyes, soon overflowing and dripping down her cheeks. "You better be fucking sorry, whore. It's best not happen again," he seethed, letting her go and shoving her to the ground. He straightened up his tie and spat on her. "When I get home, this place better be spotless and make my dinner be ready and hot. Got it?" She could only nod weakly at Marcus as she desperately tried to catch her breath. "Good," he growled before grabbing his keys, walking out, and locking the door. She stared at the door for a little bit longer before finally getting up. She didn't waste any time in getting started cleaning. She cleaned the kitchen, even swept and mopped. Moving into the living room, she dusted, put things in their proper place, washed windows, and then vacuumed. Once that was done, she cleaned the bathroom and their bedrooms. Thankfully, since her and Marcus were both fairly clean and organized people, it only took her about an hour. Putting away the cleaning supplies, she went into her room and got a set of pajamas out. She put on her favorite long-sleeve V-neck shirt and a pair of black shorts. She put her dirty clothes into the hamper in the bedroom and brushed out her hair. She noticed a dark bruise forming on her neck and eyes began to water. She made her way out into the shattered bedroom and crawled onto her side of the bed. She covered up, and stop before she could stop it, a sob escaped her chest. She cried for a long while, her frail body trembling. and the sobs echoed throughout the empty house. She cried until her eyes felt too heavy to keep awake. Her last thoughts before the darkness claimed her was that just maybe she would be better off stuffed in a suit. I love this story so much. It is so good. I think you guys are actually going to like it. So, I hope you guys, hopefully in the next video, you guys can meet my new editor and also co-owner of the channel. I guess you can call her. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night or day, whatever time it is out there. And I'll see you or talk to you guys in the next video.